told you all, which you can't see me, but you will later. I told you all we're going to go from the cutting table to, I still ain't measured that block, but I'll measure it before it's over with. But I think it's a 4.5. But anyway, we're going to be cutting our fabric, and I'm going to warn you ahead, Cookie is supposed to be napping, but as you can hear, she's not. So we're going to cut some strips here. This is my 8.5 ruler. It's 8.5. So I will be cutting. I always set mine up right in the little point here. You'll have a little clear block on your ruler there. I always kind of go by them to get mine. But we're going to cut 8.5, and then we're going to make sure the 8.5 with square ruler. So I always use my little, and be careful with that, you beat and broke your foot. I know some people have dropped it. So we're gonna cut some of these off the boat. When I started this quilt, I just bought, my daughter did, bought me a Muslim. God, I can't talk today. But anyway, about a Muslim. And I think it was like 15 yards on the boat. But anyway, we're going to cut these up. And I stack up. I cut a bunch of them because you're going to need a lot of them. And I just, especially when you first start your quilt, you know, don't worry about how much you cut, because I guarantee you will do. I've been making masks. My daughter took an order for some masks. I don't like making masks. I made a bunch of them so I wouldn't have to make them if we needed them again. And Auburn, we wrote for Auburn. And she had a mask on, an Auburn mask, and somebody wanted one for her husband. She was so excited to get her husband one, so I broke down and did them. And I told her, don't be taking no more orders, so no masks. 'Cause, you know, you can buy masks now. We don't have to waste our time doing masks. And I just don't feel like it's worth my time anyway. Unless I'm doing it for my family. Now, I would go to the ironing board. But I'm going to go to the iron board. But I'm going to cut up some more of these, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to cut them and size them. This is a 12-inch square ruler. If you can't afford any rulers, just always look at Joann's. Wait till they have it 50% off and go get your a 12.5-inch square ruler. And I have a 6.5 square ruler. You need to invest in those rulers, and maybe you are 6 in, what is it, 6, 24, 23, 6.5, and this one here. This one, I use this one more than I do anything. And also this one. I use these a lot. And of course my square. But I'm going to come back. I'm going to go iron this because it needs to be ironed. It's got too deep a crease in it. And I'll be right back. Okay. So now we're going to size up our 8-inch blocks. And I'm going to size it up on my 8 down here. You know, a lot of times you say, well, my blocks don't come out right. It's all in there. You're cutting. And then I'm going to put my line here. And then I'm going to put some pressure on it. And don't try to cut a whole lot of them. I think this is 2 of my strips here. And there's our 8-inch. And then I'll bring it back over. Line it back up on my 8. Make sure it's lined up on the bottom. And on the top here, I can see it's a little bit off, but it's not going to too much matter because it's not a whole lot. So we're going to cut it. I've already cut my savage off, and this is what I have left. And, you know, don't throw these away. You can use these, you know, for something else. But I already cut my savage off. So this is how we get the 8-inch. And I just do 2 of these. Because a lot of times when you do more than 2, you're going to get a little point on them. And you don't want to do that. You get that little point. And sorry about that. I probably bumped you. And it's not a complete 8-inch block. It's got a little tail on it or whatever. But try to get them lined up as good as possible, as much as possible. Sometimes you can't line up 2 together because of the way they were cut. But you can get 2. Here, just take your time. Just take your time. I got sniffles again. So excuse me. But I got a doctor's appointment Monday again. So hopefully maybe they'll get rid of this stuff that I got. Keep getting the color. Okay. So, and we're going to line it up again. Well, make sure it's in our 8-inch square here. If you need to, you can put some tape on there. But I think you'll be okay if you just take your time and line it up and look at it. I used to make so many mistakes about, especially these rulers that have a 1/2 inch on them. Not paying attention to where I was putting my ruler. And so, you need to do that. Let's say measure twice, cut once. But that's how we're going to do that. And then I'm going to come back. I'll be at the machine and I'll show you how to put these together. And I'm finished cutting these up and I'll show you how to start putting them together. See you in a bit. Okay, now we're going to take these little blocks and make envelopes out of them. And this is how you begin to construct your blocks. It's good to put a leader piece on here because those little ends will go off into your machine. And you can chain piece these. I usually do a back stitch, just maybe one on them, because when you start messing with them, you don't want them coming apart on you. And just leave them on your machine, and we're gonna have to, we're closing the line, we're folding them like an envelope. Just see how I'm folding them. And I'm going to, we gotta close both ends of them. Did you see that? I'm folding it just like that to make an envelope. And you gotta do both sides of them. And I did measure that block, this block, it comes out to 3 3/8. Okay, now I'm gonna take these off and we're gonna go back and close the other end. Where's my leader? We're gonna go back and close that other end, and I'm gonna show you how to connect them. No, this just saves thread. So then you take the other end of it. And close it. Just do your little back stitch. Because once you take these blocks off, you're going to be fooling with them and you don't want them coming apart on you. Okay. Thought I had 2 blocks there. Just try to keep you 1/4 of an inch as much as possible. You know, as many of these blocks that you're going to do, you're going to get off. But you can always maneuver these blocks back into where they'll fit. It's no big deal. We're not going to be perfect. Nothing's perfect. As we know, nothing's perfect but God. Okay, so once again, I'm going to show you how to, it's storming here today. I'm going to show you how to close your blocks up. Now once you do that, you take your little block and you want to nest these 2 seams here. And you know what nesting, that means the seam should go opposite directions. And you nest those 2 little seams. Make you a little pouch. Come on. Don't give me a hard time here. I'm all thumbs. It bees that way sometimes. And we're going to close up this block. Now you gotta leave an opening because you gotta turn the block. Now I go back, I do a bunch of these, and after I get past some seams, then I do me a little opening. Once I get past the seams. Out there, back tack it. Take it out and come down and close the bottom. Give you a big enough hole so you can get your finger in there. I missed that back tack on that one, but that's okay. I'll just have to be careful with it. Make sure that you crease those seams, just kind of finger press them, opposite directions, nest them together. This is about the most that you're gonna do on these quilts that you really don't just put in the block, making your blocks. That really takes a lot of your time. So you know, this is a quilt, and I see why it's on everybody's bucket list, because it takes a lot to build these blocks. It really does. But if this is the kind of quilt you want to do, don't get in a hurry. Don't promise it to your grandmama, okay? We're gonna back tack right there. My grandmama almost forgot to do that. And then we're going to pull it out. We're going to fall down just a little bit. Now, and then we're going to take it to the ironing board. Take it to the ironing board. Once you get through with your little block, it's gonna look like this. And you're gonna find your hole here and you're gonna turn it. I always cut off my little points. Just seems to turn better for me. I'll get a better point. Don't cut your thread now, just your little points over here. Cut my little threads, and then I'm going to turn my little block. And we have to take it to the ironing board. I got one of those purple doodads that I run up in it and make sure I get all of it. And that's why I say back stitch, because see how much we're messing with that opening there. See, that one's coming apart. Let's see, when I go back, and I'm going to close my hole up. Some of the videos I watched, they didn't close their hole, but I just think it's better to close that hole. And I'm going to get these right here all pushed out for you. And we're going to go to the ironing board, and I'm going to show you how to press it. All right, we'll be right back. Well, okay, I might have should have showed you how to get your points here. And what I do is I take the middle of it here, and I let it go the way it wants to. And see, on that side, you can see my seams right there with it. And then I turn the other ones this way. And you're taking just, this is a chopstick, one of my daughter's chopsticks. And you're going to want to get those points as sharp as you can there. And I lay this piece down there to make sure it goes the same way. And then when I make a lot of them, like I say, I make a lot of them. Get all them seams going the right way. And then I stick my needle up in here. I start from the end. I stick my needle up in here, and I'll close that up by hand. But we're going to come back at the ironing board. Be right back. Okay, guys. And when I was making the opening in those blocks, you need to back tack at each end. When I started on the other end, I didn't back tack on the video. But you need to back tack on each end of that opening, so when you take them loose, when you start messing with it, it won't come loose on you. Anyway, I'm gonna split up this video into 2 videos, and I will upload both of them today because it's pretty long. It's almost a 50-minute video. So I'm going to split them up into part 1 and part 2. So make sure you watch part 2. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a blessed one. Bye-bye.